Alright folks, this is Segasonicfan here. Today we're going to be working on the X68000 PRO HD model. There's not a whole lot of info on these on the internet, so I thought I'd document some of the work I've been doing here. The first thing you can see is I've installed a new power supply. That's an ATX power supply. And I made a couple custom modifications to it. I'm going to pull it out here. The nice thing about it is it's nice and small. You can get these pretty cheap nowadays. They come in a lot of studio towers. This exact model is a Deltatronics DPS250A-28D revision 00. If you wanted to try to find this exact one or not. The hard part was drilling 2 holes in the aluminum casing to mount it onto the bracket. I really wanted to do that so it would be in there really secure. I also went ahead and removed the main ATX harness and soldered in much shorter wires that just go to this fuse board. And that was the other thing I decided was a must-have after seeing how the original power supply basically caught on fire after the electrolytic capacitors leaked. So here we have a bunch of pico fuses in line with every power line that goes to the system and to the floppy drives. And those are great little fuses. I've used them a lot, and they will break far before anything really bad happens. And then we just have some electrical tape to insulate it. And we have the 7404 logic chip right here, which handles the soft power on thanks to the guide over at GameSX that people have been doing there. The other nice thing about this is this cooling fan aligns pretty perfectly with the exhaust port in the back of the system. And so it drops right in there. The only downside is it's not completely flush with the case because of some of the capacitors that stick up. But if you mount it really lightly, it'll work out fine. Or if I'm going to do a capacitor change on this a little bit later on, and then it'll mount up a lot better, or it'll line a lot better. Now, today I'm going to try servicing the floppy drives. And I've been learning sort of a lot of stuff as I go here. One user member, EIDIS, is pretty famous in the X68 scene, has been amazingly helpful. And I'm really grateful for all his advice and all his posts. This is the bezel that goes on the front of the Pro. And I'm not going to put it on right now because I just took it off. Should have been recording for that. But I will show you how you're supposed to take it off. Basically, there are 3 clips along the bottom. This is one, this is another, and this one is the third. And you have to undo those first underneath the system. And you just kind of push them in really gently, being really careful because this is 25-year-old plastic. It's very brittle. And then you also have 2 in the middle, and then you have 1 more in the corner. And so reaching inside here, you get those 2 and the 1 in the corner, push them in, and this guy should come out. And obviously be very careful not to force anything. The metal cover on top comes out very easily, 2 screws on each side and a couple screws in the back. It's just like any receiver if you've ever taken apart one of those. Really straightforward, Phillips screws. And then your floppies, which is this big bracket here. Everything is really nicely mounted in these great metal frames here. Super, super sturdy stuff. And so the floppies go in through the front drive bay here. I'm not going to put them all the way in. But one thing I highly recommend for servicing and getting in and out of the console is there's two screws right here that you can most likely do without once you take it off for the first time. Those two screws in the front go here and here, and those are the only reason that you have to take off the really fragile bezel in the first place. So if you leave those screws out, you still have the really heavy-duty mounting bracket mounted here and here, supporting the drive very well. If you leave those screws out though, and you need to take the floppies out at any point in the future, you don't have to mess with that really fragile bezel, which I think is a good way to go. Now, I've been getting an error code after working with the floppies, and I realized that when I put the floppies back in, I put drive 0 below drive 1 by accident. They're not identical, or at least they are in their motherboard revisions, but they have a jumper, which you can see on the bottom here is this green jumper here, this green jumper here, and this green jumper here. My guess is the one towards the connector. This one determines which is the master and which is the slave. And so you will get a one-line error code that you get from the interrupt switch if those are reversed, or at least that's what somebody says in the forums, which makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to try swapping these back and see what happens. But first I have to stop something. Take care of something over here. Got some tea boiling. Okay, so everything here with the floppies is pretty straightforward. I'm going to try to work on them now. I also want to show the differences between it and its American counterpart, which is this floppy drive. The floppies, you can actually read from the sticker of the Sharp, are actually FD-55 GFR is the model number. See if we can make it out here. It's right here on the sticker. And so that's the almost exact model number as this TIAC drive, as you can read over here. It too is an FD-55 GFR, but it's also a -570-U. Now, I don't know if there's other revisions that don't have those extra numbers, but there are some pretty major differences, but also some nice similarities. And I've yet to really delve into figuring out all the similarities and all the differences, but I'm doing it while making this video, which I figure will be helpful to others. So that's the Sharp ones, and this is the American counterpart. And you can tell that it looks like, anyway, visually, that this drive motor and that drive motor, motherboard, and ribbon cable correspond almost exactly. In fact, reading the printing on the motherboard, it says it's a YG-H2A PCB is the writing on it. So and it looks identical in every way, looking at it now. So it's safe to say that those parts could be swapped safely. The board on the back, on the other hand, looks entirely different, as is the connector for your motor here, your guide motor. And yeah, even the integrated circuits look very different. So that's kind of a letdown. But let's open it up and see what the top looks like, and also make sure I get my drives in proper order now. So there's 2 screws on each side of the drive, just like any normal hard drive bay or CD drive bay you see in a tower. And these things are heavy though, so try to do one at a time. Also, I really recommend going really slow unscrewing and screwing stuff in with a system as rare as this, you really don't want to strip anything by trying to go too fast. And some of the threads, especially for the screws in the back of the case, have very fine threading, some of the screws. So you want to go slow. I have an electric drill. I can do this very fast, but I prefer to do it manually and make sure everything stays really in great working order. I thought these drives were actually having an issue at one point because they are kind of noisy when you have the cover off. But after running my American TX, I can see that they're just a little bit loud. Probably just because they're old. And it does sound like there's a noise that happens every rotation, but I'm quite sure that that's just the floppy spinning itself and actually hitting the plastic that holds the disk inside the floppy, the data. Here's the top of the Japanese one, and we'll set it next to the American one. See the differences there. I'm going to try to set up the camera a little bit better here too to help out with this. So those are the two. They have a lot of similarities. The American one has a nice little metal cover over it, presumably to keep out dust. And then you can see the soft eject motor is in here and uses this open area here. There's some gears under there that push it all out. You also have a difference between these boards because one is the soft eject mechanism where there's a ribbon cable that plugs in, and I'll show you that when I put everything back inside, and the other doesn't have that. So we do have a lot of similarities though. The drive motors or the reading motor is definitely different, the guide motor, but a lot of the other parts look very much the same, and that's promising. I'm going to go back to putting everything back together, swapping these drives. So looking at the jumper on the one here, I can definitely see that I put them in upside down because this green jumper is set on D1, which I'm quite sure is going to be the slave and not the master setting. So that's why it confused the X68000. So now we have both our floppies out, and I'll make a separate video here showing how to clean them.